welcome to Joyful Recipes. In this channel, I'll be sharing recipes that make me happy. And for today, I decided to make a gluten-free chocolate cake recipe. If you'd like to learn how to make it, keep on watching. Okay, to make this recipe, you're gonna need 1 cup of full-fat canned coconut milk, 1 tablespoon of cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of instant coffee granules or instant espresso, 1 3/4 cups of gluten-free baking flour, 3/4 cup raw cocoa powder, 1 1/3 cup coconut sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of sea salt, 1/2 cup of avocado oil or olive oil, 2 large eggs at room temperature, and 1 1/2 cups of chocolate chips, but this is optional. And you're also gonna need 1 cup of boiling water. Okay, we're first gonna start off by setting our oven at 350 degrees so it can preheat. All right, so we're gonna start off by opening our coconut milk, and we're gonna measure out 1 cup. So creamy because it's full fat coconut milk. And then we will be adding our cider in here. And like I had mentioned before, it's gonna be 1 tablespoon. And then just gonna mix this together. And we're just gonna set it aside. All right, next we're gonna be grabbing that 1 cup of boiling water. And we're gonna be pouring it into a dish to make our mixture with the 2 tablespoons of instant coffee. If you have a cup of freshly brewed coffee, that is fine as well. And we will also be setting this to the side. We will be using it later in our recipe. All right, so for this next step, what you're gonna wanna do is mix all of the dry ingredients in one bowl. So here's our flour. We're gonna be adding our cocoa powder. We will also be adding our coconut sugar, and we will be adding our sea salt, our baking powder, and our baking soda. Once you've got that all in the bowl, you want to make sure you mix well, get everything evened out, very well incorporated so that everything's mixed together. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients. We're gonna incorporate them all together. So we're gonna pour our vanilla, we're gonna put our eggs, our avocado oil, and we're gonna be bringing back that coconut milk with cider vinegar and mixing it in here as well. And then same goes for the instant coffee mix we had made earlier. Okay, once you got that all in one bowl, you want to make sure you mix everything well. Once you have it all mixed, then you can finally bring back your dry ingredients, which I'll get right now. And we can finally mix these two together to make our batter. And this helps to make the mixing of ingredients evenly a lot easier instead of just pouring eggs into dry ingredients and having to stir and having to try and make sure you got it all evened out. This makes it a lot easier. Okay, So I'm gonna pour this in here. Make sure everything's in there. And then now we will mix again. And you're just gonna mix until the batter looks smooth. You don't have to do this by hand. You can obviously use an electrical mixer or a stand mixer, I believe it's called. But the ingredients mix fairly easily and I don't find any problems doing it by hand. So I haven't been mixing this very long or very hard. And as you can see, it's already very smooth. So there's really no need for an electrical mixer, but it's obviously up to you, your preference. If you don't have it, just know that you don't need it. It's very smooth. Okay, once you've achieved this result or texture, whatever you want to call it, that means your batter is ready and we can move on to the next step. I had to mention at the beginning that the chocolate chips were optional. For me, I love chocolate. The more chocolate, the better. So I opt for yes on the chocolate chips. If you don't have them, you don't need them. Or if you're not a fan of chocolate chips in your batter, in your cake, you can opt out. All right, we can move on to our next step, which is obviously just making sure that whatever we're gonna bake our cake in is nice and greasy so that it doesn't stick. In this case, I use a spray oil and what I have at hand is olive oil. You can obviously use any oil of your preference. All right, I'm gonna try to pour this in. The batter's pretty heavy. I wasn't smart on the container I picked, so please bear with me. You can easily use any size cake pan, and I have made cakes out of this batter. In this occasion, we don't have anything to celebrate, so I'm using a loaf pan, but I can insert a picture or a small video of a cake that I made for my brother using this recipe, so you guys can see that it can be made into really anything you want for any occasion. Now we're just gonna place it in the oven, and I'm gonna let this bake for about 30 to 35 minutes. Obviously, I'm gonna be checking on it just to make sure it doesn't overcook or undercook. Okay, so now we're quickly just gonna make some chocolate ganache made out of the remainder of the coconut milk that we have. You can measure out about 1 cup, and you're gonna pour that in a bowl. And then you can use the stove or the microwave to heat this up so that it's very hot but not boiling. And this is what we're gonna use to melt our chocolate, and I'll show you guys right now. Let me put this in the microwave. Okay, once you've heated up your coconut milk, now you're gonna add about a cup of your chocolate chips. And the coconut milk should be hot enough to melt the chocolate chips. And I left my coconut milk in the microwave about a minute and 20 seconds. And you're just gonna stir this. Okay. One more thing we'll be adding to this mixture is going to be 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And this is for sweetness. And this is also optional, or if you don't want that much sweetness, you can also do just 1. You can tweak the recipe to your preference. slowly coming together, as you can see. It takes a little while for the chocolate to melt, but it does happen. And it's gonna be fairly thick, and that's what you want. Okay, I think it's ready. Okay, now I'm gonna try to take it out of the pan. I'm not a professional, but this is how I usually do it. It's beautiful. It looks great. Take a look at it, guys. It's gonna be delicious and you're not gonna be disappointed. You can obviously eat it like this. You can eat it warm. But if you are a chocolate lover like me, then you're gonna wanna pour this delicious ganache that we just made all over it. And you can do it like this in the design, like a drizzle, or if you wanna just cover the whole thing, you can do that also. And if you're making a cake and you have a frosting recipe, you can put on the frosting and then do like the ganache dripping. I think for this video, I'm just gonna do it like this. That's kind of what I'm feeling like. And then I'm just gonna let it cool for a little bit. I just wanted to add a quick note for those of you that are vegan. This recipe can be easily switched over to a vegan recipe by just simply substituting your eggs with applesauce. So that's a little trick I just learned from my husband. If you're ever short on eggs or don't eat eggs, you can use applesauce for any recipe. So without any further ado, the next thing that we're going to be doing is tasting this. And the only other thing I can recommend for a chocolate cake is a icy cold large glass of milk. All right, so I'm gonna dig in, cut myself a pretty big piece because I do love chocolate. Let's get a look on the inside. Oh, it's still very warm. Pour this on my plate. And I'm gonna go ahead and taste it. I will say, for now, this is a faceless channel, but maybe one day I'll feel confident enough to show my face. For now, you just have to take my word for it. It is absolutely delicious. That icy cold milk with a chocolate cake is my absolute favorite. I want to thank everyone for watching. Let me know if you try the recipe and come back if I upload another video. Thank you.